Hello, hello. All right, my guys. I just recorded two videos and they came out without volume. I have no idea why. In all honesty, I don't know if I should like do them again or not. Fuck me, dude. Uh, I don't know. I'm not gonna. But anyways, it was the difference between you're welcome versus don't worry about it. By the end of it, you're welcome was a lot more reflecting on what was done and giving more integrity to it, as in you are welcome for the thing that was done that required you to say you're welcome. Whilst don't worry about it is kind of like pointing at the person itself, which takes away from the effort that was done. That's basically how I finalized it. And the second video was the physical reality is complicated, but not really complex. And I explained literally a leaf. So I can't explain how frustrating it is. It's literally just like, I don't know, it feels like my flow got connected because I was doing one video and then the next, and the first video was explaining. Should I just do the videos? No, no, but I'll show you the notes. You're welcome versus don't worry about it. As you can see, it's scratched because I thought I finished with it. And the other one is the physical reality is complicated, but not truly complex. The other one, I explain how basically physical reality for us is kind of like, I started with explaining the tree and the leaves because all we see is the leaves. And then basically, if we extend through the leaves and how they came to be, we follow them until we reach branches, and then branches reach the main branches, and then eventually the trunk, which is basically us. And then the rooting system is the same. And because like you can't really build the roots, you have to start from one place. But once we realize we are kind of like who we are, we already have established our growth, right? So we existed within and we exist without. And we exist within and we exist without. We can't say that, can we? Within, out, I don't know. So what happens is the interaction is very, I love it, man. It's just like even really going through the videos again, man, is making me think differently. It's a shame. I really love them, man. I really love them. It's frustrating. But I quote the I quote Confucius. He says, "Life is simple. We choose to make it complicated." Because it's kind of like how we traverse life that brings out the complication, and it's not really complex as a world, especially how we exist in it, because it's not really complex simply because everything is connected to forward. It's connected to many things, but we can only choose one. And backwards is only connected to one thing. Because one thing led to this. And then when we take a step forward, all the other things that we could have taken aren't really something that we should kind of like, all right, so if I were to look at tree as a tree and I look at the leaf, effectively for me to get to the trunk, I should just follow the path that the leaf took to exist. So there's the leaf and like something small that's sticking it out. And then after that, it connects to a small branch and then a thicker branch and a thicker branch and a thicker branch. Naturally, this process backwards is linear, one line. But if you start at the trunk and you extend, that's how all the other leaves came to existence. So the branches start basically intertwining with each other, but they're all basically flowing their own path. I'm not trying to explain how we approach life from the concept of a tree, but the truth is maybe the leaf that we're looking at or the flower that we're looking at, and for us, the only thing we'll notice is what resonates with us. So if we just follow that one back, we'll reach the trunk, and from the trunk, I could reach any other leaf. I already saw myself being able to map this. So the complicated thing is us, because if I'm just following where this branch came from, then I actually would eventually get to the trunk, and it's simple. But on the way backwards, or on the way towards the trunk, because like we're starting the journey from a self-actualization perspective, the external world. While if we're thinking roots, then we're thinking internal, which is self-realization. So the complicated but not really complex part is the fact that we tend to like, instead of sticking to how this part, how this branch, where does it come from, and going back to where it's where the thread is flowing. And what we're doing effectively is we stop at where the thread started and we get enamored by the other threads that started as well. Because for us, there are many things that are expressed as we evolve through life. We're touching a whole lot of things. We're evolving into a lot of things. We're allowing our impact to be kind of like noticed and used and utilized by other things. And effectively, when we start noticing that, when we start noticing how we're impacting things, we target them all instead of targeting one, understanding how it came to be and applying the same realization to everything else. It's funny because the first video, when I started discussing how I am actually finding a hard separation between the personal, the personality mind that doesn't really think. I don't know if whoever's watched my videos before sees me mention me, myself, and I. There's I where the thought comes through, right? And that's basically what connects this body, what allows the energy in this body to kind of like stay centered within me, right? There's the I. And again, like because the world is energy, right? Like everything is energy. The issue is like there's something that's holding it all together. There's this balance that's holding it all together. There's biology as well, but that biology is because of the energy that's being emitted by us. So that for me is the I, that kind of like the superior consciousness, the universal consciousness maybe, that allows us to kind of like have a thought based on our passions, based on our beliefs, based on our the things we see in this reality that trigger us. And then there's myself, which is the reality thinking brain, which is the part of reality that's able to think, that's part of me that's able to think and process how to take that thought and turn it into an idea. And then that idea is the revelation, the realization, right? Like, this is what I can do. Because you got a thought, what can you do? And then it starts running around your mind and kind of like picking stuff and going like this. Can you still give me attention if I show you this? And if you say yes, it jumps to another thing and like holds different things and compiles them together and builds something for you. And it always flows with it. Now, there's the harmony as well of the me, which is like what you're looking at right now, the vocalization of my mind. And that's the personality, the ego, right? Because like this is built as authentically as I can at the very least, expressed as authentically as I can at the very least. But this mind's entire job, which is the personality mind, is to not interfere. Like literally. My job, yeah, my job as Tariq is not to interfere and try to understand why I made that choice, why that thought was relevant, why the idea from that thought is relevant, and to find a concept. The concept that gets created by the thought is basically the proof of the effort that this mind does, the physical personality mind does, the ego mind does. And the ego mind tends to believe they do a lot more work than they do. And they probably are trying and attempting to do that kind of stuff. but it will ultimately result in failure because, like, at maximum, its job is to perceive, right? We can't conceive anything. We get a thought that's already conceived somewhere, and then we basically receive it, and then I'm really following the trait that I'm following a lecture that I heard somebody say, by the way, and that kind of like cemented something with me that I have been like struggling with over the past like 3 weeks. Because I've been doing work, but I don't know if it's the bare minimum. I've been doing a couple of hours of work every day, but it feels like I haven't really caught the flow. And so the relationship between these three segments of yourself, the me, myself, and I never drew it until like today, kind of like listening to that lecture, kind of helped me understand it. So it's conceived somewhere, the I conceives, and then myself receives it, and that's where you take the thought and you translate it into an idea because it kind of like takes everything else that's received over the path over your life, the triggers in your environment, the things that align with your values, with that thought, with all these things, and kind of like builds them up and goes like, is this what you're interested in? And then you take it and you create a concept out of it in your own reality, which the rest of the world could actually share with you and interact with. That was what I was trying to explain over the past like couple of videos, and it's a shame that it was gone. But I hope I kind of like did something with this. Yep, safe. It's a video.